Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our alternative audio coverage of the FA Cup third round match between Manchester City and Chelsea. I'm your alternative host, Nicholas Jones, and you are listening to the Commentary Hub. And I'm delighted to have with me as our actual commentators, Trevor Sports and Chris Whiteman. Good afternoon to you. Sorry if I was trying to take your job back there.
Sure.
No problem. Delighted to be here.
Somebody forgot to unmute, but yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's the eight. Anyway, both sides have last met each other only 3 days ago. Can you believe it? With Manchester City winning 1-0, and I have to say, Manchester City seem to be the informed team at the minute. Currently second in the Premier League and 5 points off league leaders Arsenal. So do you see that? So do you see their? So do you both see their form from the Premier League spilling over into the FA Cup now?
Well, I'll kick things off, I guess. The league and the cup are two very different things, and we'll hint towards the lineups. There've been a lot of changes, so form kind of goes out the window a little bit. Although Riyad Mahrez is featuring today, and obviously he'll know that he's got Chelsea's number at the minute. So it'll be interesting to see how the different lineups perhaps affect things. And obviously this time round it's at the Etihad, so Man City will be the favourites, and obviously Chelsea have all kinds of injury problems themselves as well. Although they have people like Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta on the bench. So they have players available if they need to, but it's very much a makeshift side from Chelsea, and Manchester City, Pep's trying to blood some youngsters as well. So it can throw... Anything can happen in the FA Cup, is all I will say.
That's absolutely correct. Chelsea haven't had a good season in comparison to Manchester City. Only won once in their last 6 matches and currently 10th in the league. And since Graham Potter took over, he has only won 4 out of the 11 since taking over from Thomas Tuchel. And only Ian Porterfield and Glenn Hoddle have had less wins than him during their first few games in management. And it also doesn't, and the massive injury list, doesn't help either. So do you feel that Chelsea could well be compromised?
It's difficult to say. I mean, they do have experienced heads on the team as well, who should be able to direct those that aren't quite used to the spotlight quite in this manner. But it's hard to tell. Graham Potter's had a challenging time since joining Chelsea, which obviously is at a stage where they're very much rebuilding, both under new ownership and past what they had previously. So it's kind of a team in transition, but I would still say they're underachieving a bit because they would be hoping for at least to be in the European spots. Ideally, the Champions League, obviously, but Chelsea with no European football is an underachieving side. So it's going to be tough for them. Manchester City, obviously, as I said, they've got a lot of depth on the bench today, regardless of the fact that they've named a weakened side. So it will be a challenge regardless, because obviously you've got plenty of substitutes as well in the FA Cup. So I think this is going to be this game will be dictated by, say, the first 30 minutes. It will kind of give us an idea as to how this is going to go. So if City get on top early, I think it'll be very difficult for Chelsea to get back into it. But if Chelsea get an early goal, who knows? Anything could happen at that point. But Pep has plenty of strength on the bench to look at. So I'm sure they've planned ahead. Well, Pep certainly has. As for Chelsea, this is kind of half a free hit almost. They're not expected to win this one.
Okay, well, I can just about see the teams about getting ready to come out, so we can now hand over to our commentators for this game, Chris Whiteman and first of all Trevor Sports.
Thank you very much. Welcome here to the Etihad. This could be a really interesting game. Bearing in mind these two sides have met previously. This is the third time they've met 2 months. That's if you don't allow for a big World Cup tournament that took place between these two. It's two shades of blue here in the FA Cup, and Chelsea here hoping to break an unwanted record on the basic fact that there you go. Over the last 3 seasons, they've been beaten in the competition. Could this be an competition for them to go and get past Manchester City? Or could there also be a chance for Chelsea to break another horrible record? Knocked out in both cup competitions by Liverpool last season, they're facing the prospects of getting knocked out by both cup competitions this season by Manchester City. The Blue Moon in the Etihad is getting ready to go, and we're all set for a contest which certainly has its story points as well. Graham Potter at the moment having great troubles and challenges in the moment in trying to get a Chelsea side together after the release of Thomas Tuchel from his contract. For Pep Guardiola, he continues to grow, but a Manchester City side that's supposed to sweep the Premier League are currently being held back by their North London rivals in Arsenal. It could be an interesting contest between these two under the sun. There are changes on both sides, and that's going to be a big factor at the moment in the game at the moment. And we're hoping to sort of see. Now, apologies at the moment. We are getting some echo if that's the case. Hopefully, we'll try and get to the bottom of that as we go on. But at the moment, folks, as well, time to go through the two sides today. And we'll start off with Manchester City, if we can. At the moment here, we'll go with the goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper, that one is Stefan Ortega from Germany. Lines up in a back four with Kyle Walker, Manuel Akajani, Aymeric Laporte, and Sergio Gomez. Young Spaniard comes in at left back. It's a midfield three of Bernardo Silva, Rodri, and Cole Palmer, a lifelong Manchester City fan in the midfield. It's a front 4-3 for Manchester City of Riyad Mahrez, Julian Alvarez, fresh from his World Cup heroics, and Phil Foden. For Chelsea today, Kepa Arrizabalaga is the main goalkeeper chosen for there. Bashir Humphreys comes in to make his debut, the young Exetonian, age 19. Kulu Kulubiabi, Trevor Chalobah, and Lewis Hall make up a back four. Lewis Hall making just his fourth appearance for Chelsea. Matteo Kovacic, Jorginho, and Mason Mount line up the middle. Hakim Ziyech, Kai Havertz, and Conor Gallagher are in the front three at the moment. For changes, well, there are 6 changes made by Chelsea compared to the side which started the game on Thursday. Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Cucurella, Zakaria, Sterling, and Pulisic are out. Humphreys, Shabalala, Hall, Jorginho, Mount, and Gallagher are in. As for Manchester City, they've made 7 changes on the side that plays on Thursday. Edison, Ake, Stones, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Cancelo, and Haaland are out. Ortega, Akajani, Laporte, Gomez, Foden, Mahrez, Alvarez, and Palmer are in. I tell you what, sir, that's a mouthful to get through at the moment as well. At the moment here, though, just to let you know that Aston Villa Stevenage is also on at the same time, folks. And if you are tuning in, you want to see what's going on, you can also join me as well on Trevor Sports, because I'm also broadcasting the show today. You can come and join me in the channel. You can watch the commentator if you like. You can also comment on the fact that you might have had a little bit too much to eat over Christmas at the moment. Alongside me, as always, is my partner in crime. It's my Ali McCoy. To my Clive Tilsley, it's Chris Whiteman. Hello, love to see you. What do you make of today's game, Chris?
Well, there was a dress rehearsal the other day. I will hold my thoughts just for a moment because there's going to be a minute's silence for, or a minute's applause, and quite rightly so.
Well, Chris, a wonderful minute's applause for Shane Kaviarli that sadly lost his battle with cancer to the young age of 58. And for a Chelsea fan and football fans, Emma, horrible news, I have to say there.
It was very sad, but he battled his illness well. He beat it once, but it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, life can be cruel like that. And for a man who was so humble and so popular, yeah, certainly with Chelsea fans, it's a very sad day indeed.
Well, let's hope the game lives up in the memory. The golden boy of Italian football, Gianluca Vialli, was known as, and as a player and a manager, very much a Chelsea legend, and quite rightly so. So as we kick things off today, just to let you know that thanks to the invention of high-definition TV, there's no need for these sides to move into their away kit. They can both play in their home kits, and that should be interesting for us. If I can go through the match officials today, just to recap as well, match referee is Robert Jones, and assistants are Darren Khan and Ian Hussein. The fourth official is Darren England, and in the VAR room in Stockley Park is John Brooks. Let's hope VAR understand at the moment the definition of offside. Halter throw, his first touch here for Chelsea. Young man at the moment, from Slough, ironically, and is 18 years of age. Here's Kyle Walker, only touch into Mahrez. And Chris, how do you see the game going today? City at home, you think they'll have majority of the play today?
Yeah, I think it will very much be the onus on Chelsea to get the ball back off City. But at the same time, Chelsea will probably look to dig in, certainly for the first 10, 15 minutes, and slowly build into the game, because obviously they're two kind of... They're not their strongest sides for either team, so it's going to be a feeling out phase, but obviously City will continue with their usual philosophy of maintaining possession and trying to force a chance, which they may do here with Silva.
Here's Mahrez. Now there's Bernardo Silva. Opportunity to play the ball through the middle as well. Looking for the run of Julian Alvarez at the moment here, though. Backing into Bernardo Silva on the left foot, right on the inside. Marked at the moment by Bashir Humphreys, who does well to marshal him away. The young Englishman clearing away with his left foot at the moment, and the ball is into Havertz. Straight away across, and Kajani is across to win the ball back. Early touch at the moment for Manchester City, and the touch is there from Sergio Gomez. Here he is now, the young Spaniard. Got number 21, and this is his first season after arriving from Anderlecht. This will be an interesting occasion for some young men, but I guess this shows perhaps at the moment where the FA Cup is at the moment, that teams are prepared to make changes. You wouldn't have seen this sort of 20 or 30 years ago, as Conor Gallagher plays a clever little ball in the middle to Hakan Ziyech, who's quick footwork and able to play it ball back to Koulibaly. And now Humphreys. Slightly nervous touch, but able to get it back to Koulibaly. And always important when you make your debut in a big game as well to make sure that first touch is good. It does breed confidence, doesn't it, Chris?
It does. Getting a touch early, as much as it might have looked a little bit nervous, he didn't really cause any trouble with it. But it's good to get your foot on the ball early on, just kind of calm the nerves a little bit, and he'll settle in a bit better after that, because it was fairly simple, even though he was under a little bit of pressure. But that'll help calm him down a little bit.
Well, here he is now. A little pass inside. This is Laporte. Rodri has shown short. And Kajani. Kyle Walker offering support wide. Back in the end to Rodri. Now, again, is Omery Laporte. Just inside his own fast. Little 1-2 with Foden. Quick feet. Pass being made by Rodri. He's charging forward at the moment. 3 Manchester City players forward. It's an attack. 4. Rodri has kept his run going at the moment. It's 2 in the area to aim for at the moment. Marshalled by Mason Mount. And how fits Mason Mount after he was ruled out of Thursday's game? Kyle Walker screaming for it through the middle, but here's Phil Foden charging in the inside channel, the old-fashioned inside left position. That certainly was back in the day. And the touch is again made at the moment on the left. Here is a chance to move the ball forward, and the pass to Foden was just not quite there. Here's Bashir Humphreys back to Reece Below, who's got to get it away. It does really well. Ball out to Lewis Hall, number 67, tries to play it past Bernardo Silva and does that really well. Young man, that was some composure there to get his side out of trouble.
It was indeed. I've got to say, Arrizabalaga did really well, given that he had about 3 seconds to pick out a man before, instead of hoofing it into the stratosphere. He did really well there. And yes, the touch was delightful. And now Chelsea under basically no pressure at all, although City look like they're hunting in packs of 4 at the minute. I'm sure you can see just that little T shape that they're chasing Chelsea down in, forcing them back to their keeper.
Yeah, you can see Jorginho's steps back to try and offer Chelsea some support. Rizabalaga again finds Lewis Hall. Now it's back to Koulibaly. And this pass in the end isn't the best pass in the world, but Conor Gallagher does well to win it, and Chelsea can move the ball away at the moment. Now it's Hakim Ziyech looking for Kai Havertz, who has a Champions League winning goal against Manchester City, but in the end the pass isn't great, and Stefan Ortega is able to pass the ball away. This is Kyle Walker for Manchester City. Riyad Mahrez himself as well. African Cup of Nations winner with Algeria, Riyad Mahrez. What a tournament he's had in his time as well. Won the league with Leicester in 2016, but lost the FA Cup to them in 2021. One of those wonderful stories that was in Leicester's heroics season. Chelsea went on to win the Champions League as a bit of a consolation prize in the end.
It's not a bad one, is it?
No, you wouldn't say no to it, would you?
No.
You wouldn't say no to it.
I wouldn't mind it as a Burnley fan, I'll tell you that much.
It is what dreams are made of here. And now here's Lewis Hall for Chelsea. Looks to try and play a ball over the top. Kai Havertz wanted that play perhaps a bit more along the ground. Mount was moving forwards, but Chelsea just starting to feel their way into the contest at the moment. If you're tuning in, welcome to the TC Hub. We're on the Commentary Hub, folks. And you're listening to live alternative commentary here, exclusively from the Etihad. And we are fully enjoying this contest as things stand at the moment. And just an awkward pass to Ortega. Had to get away. Pressure there from Havertz, and certainly play that role. Kai Havertz, very versatile in that forward front line at the moment. And Manchester City at the moment is prepared to sort of go wide. And Julian Alvarez and Phil Foden are exchanging positions. I think at the moment Sergio Gomez has also come forward, but he's guilty of the foul here, catching Trevor Chalobah, which to himself at the moment, to his credit, Trevor Chalobah at the moment as well, does have an FA Cup winner's medal to his name. He's an unused substitute in Chelsea's last win back in 2018. Might remember the 22nd minute penalty scored by Eden Hazard, and Chelsea beat Manchester United that day. But since then, Chelsea have been beaten in 3 finals in a row. They hold a horrible record. And if they go out to Manchester City today, well, I tell you what, they'll be the first side to be knocked out of both cup competitions in consecutive seasons. It's certainly a record you wouldn't want.
No, but it's just the way that Chelsea have kind of been recently. I mean, you would say that they're due a barren spell. They've kind of been winning trophies for fun over the last decade, really. So every team goes through them. They go through this rebuilding phase, and it's whether the new owners have the patience to let Graham Potter mould this Chelsea team to what he wants. Because as you can see, the legacy he's left at Brighton, don't get me wrong, the new management's come in and carried on the good form. And all goodness me, the goalkeeper is playing there's some interesting back passes going on in this match, I've got to say.
There is. If you're of a certain generation, they're called hospital passes, I believe.
Yep, they are indeed, and there's who's down here? Is it Rodrigo on the floor? I think. Let's just have a look. Oh, he's been trodden on by Kai Havertz, which hasn't gone down well for obvious reasons. But going back to Graham Potter, obviously, as I said, his work at Brighton was the whole reason he got the Chelsea job in the first place. So. But that took a lot of time. You know, he's built clubs from the ground up. You look at where he made his reputation at Midtjylland or whatever they were called in Denmark. Was it Denmark, Sweden? Obviously, when they went to the Emirates and put on a bit of a show, and then he's come to Brighton, built Brighton into an established, leading mid-table club. Let's put it that way. And now he's got the job of taking over Chelsea, where they're in a transitional phase. And it's just a case of, can the board be patient? Because sometimes finishing a league season, not qualifying for Europe, can be a blessing. Because I can case in point Liverpool when they finished second in the league under Brendan Rodgers. They had no European football to worry about. So it can be a platform for players to get enough rest and build from there. So they've got to give them time, and you never know, they might pull off a result here. We're 10 minutes in and it's been fairly even.
And time is always the commodity that football managers in general never have enough of. That's certainly going to be the occasion. Sometimes as well, time could be the enemy if you're chasing a game. But at the moment, it seems to be a contest in which both sides are trying to feel each other out and trying to make an opportunity where they could go ahead and get a grip on the game. I can tell you here from stats at the moment that Manchester City have certainly lost possession as we come up to the 9.5-minute mark. Conor Gallagher there just seemed to have taken a little whack. This is Cole Walker for Manchester City. Little exchange one just with Bernardo Silva. Allows Riyad Mahrez to run ahead of Lewis Hall. Mahrez able to test him and got away from him. A chance for the pullback here, though. It's a cross goal. And in the end, the pass was well measured at the moment by Arrizabalaga that was able to read it. But Mahrez just showed his pace there on young Lewis Hall.
He did, yeah, and he showed his clever thinking as well. He just drew him in for the challenge, got that touch ahead of him, which bought him a bit of time in the box. Although you've got to say the defence, it was Koulibaly got a tiny touch on it, which took the sting out of it for Arrizabalaga there. But good defending on that side. But Mahrez just measuring his matchup in that first kind of battle that they've done. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah, so much is made in the analysis of football these days, particularly the sort of the one-on-one measures of how teams perform. Certainly can be a big factor at the moment. This is Manuel Ankajani for Manchester City to bring us in for the Swiss international. Cole Walker and Hall able to intercept. And already you can see Graham Potter in his technical area starting to bark orders. We talked about Potter earlier on at the moment, and a lot of people have said that maybe it's time to go, that the job's too big for him. But when you consider he hasn't had a full season, he's got an injury crisis. You know, he's not had pre-season, and he's not had a chance to build his side yet. He's very much picking up the reins of Tuchel's. Is this fair criticism, would you say, Chris? We just wait for this opportunity to go out for throw.
It's difficult to say whether it's fair. I mean, given the record of Chelsea's sackings in the past, but we've got to remember this isn't the Abramovich era anymore. So maybe a new approach from the owners might give them the time to build, because clearly they interviewed him with the idea that there would be a project to do, and you can't sack somebody barely at the start of a project, which it's going to take time, and it's whether Chelsea fans and the owners can accept having a season kind of in the wilderness while he sorts things out.
Well, certainly at the moment, this is Gomez has crossed the king of the back end. Alvarez got a touch. Koulibaly's got it away. Alvarez is right in the air. It's ricocheting anywhere. Oh, and then in the end, a chance arrives for Phil Foden. But I believe the whistle has gone. The opportunity's not going to count. But my heavens there, what a bit of a cup scramble that was in the box. But it's all broken away here, Chris.
That's something that is something out of pub league football. That it was just bouncing all over the place, and then Phil Foden, to his credit, digged out one of the most audacious left-footed bicycle kicks I've ever seen that very nearly went in, but it wouldn't have counted because the ref would have spoilt it, as he would have, as he did blow his whistle. But even so, it was a great effort nonetheless.
Certainly was at the moment, and there you go. That was the first moment in the contest. This is Koulibaly under pressure. Arrizabalaga, who's definitely playing it out in cool measures into Mount, who can't quite control it under the pressure from Ankajani. And the ball's gone out. And Cole Walker is over to take the throw. So we're coming up to the 13th minute of the contest. 0-0. Still yet to see a shot in anger at the moment. And there is the Manchester City bench. And there is Erling Haaland. 21 goals. 16 league appearances this year. He has certainly made the Premier League his own. And really is a force to be reckoned with. And you wonder if Manchester City will turn to Haaland today, depending how the contest goes. Ankajani, who's well out of his position all the way forwards. But don't worry, there's Laporte to win it back. Out wide in the end to Sergio Gomez. Options out wide at the moment in Cole Palmer. Lifelong Manchester City fan Cole Palmer. He's wearing today number 80. But he did score in the FA Cup last season. And certainly today he would have had dreams of leading his side out and playing at Wembley as he tries to make a run as Sergio Gomez looked for him. Manchester City very comfortable on the ball. It's very obvious at the moment, and midfield possession is taken at the moment, and even Laporte is able to run forward with Rodri covering at the moment. Here is Sergio Gomez. Now it's a chance to play it into Rodri. Well marshalled at the moment by Hakim Ziyech, who had a fantastic World Cup for Morocco. First African side to reach the semi-final. What an amazing achievement that was. Here's Bernardo Silva. Under pressure at the moment from Mount and Havertz. And Ziyech, and it's overpass. And Laporte here, Chris, very much seems to almost be playing as a left-back at the moment. We watch this attack take place.
it's certainly a very fluid shape from Manchester City. It's very much a case of if somebody moves, somebody fills in. So it's very, very fluid, and it's certainly leading to Manchester City being able to maintain this ridiculous press that they're doing at the minute. Because at the moment, Chelsea are just having to go back to their goalkeeper, and he ends up just having to chip it forward and hope that a Chelsea player can get to it. And here we are again. Chelsea just having no time to breathe at the back here.
Well, it's shades of what happened to England in the World Cup against Senegal, where England were under this sort of pressure, started to go long, and suddenly that bypassed it. You wonder if Manchester City will go ahead and Chelsea even may go to plan B and may try to go for the long ball. But you look at the likes of Ziyech, Havertz and Gallagher. I don't think they've quite got the standout number 9 to be able to do that. And there is the pass by Mount. And Ziyech, lovely little control. Havertz, Ziyech, that's wonderful football. Oh, it just wouldn't quite fall under the feet of Mason Mount, but he's able to continue to move forward under pressure, and Bernardo Silva wins it back. But that was just a shade of some quality football there from Chelsea. But in the amount, perhaps showing the fact that he's not quite match fit, wasn't quite able to control that pass forward.
Certainly looked like he was missing that sharpness with that first touch, which admittedly was challenging to get under control, and he did well to kind of hang on to it, but by that point Man City had their numbers back, so the attack broke down.
Well, we have had some cracking games in this weekend, the third round of the FA Cup. Will we have a game with a top tier name to match at the moment? This is a run forward at the moment by Palmer, and then Gomez's effort, which is blocked. It comes back to Rodri for Manchester City. On the halfway line is Aymeric Laporte to pass it back out wide again. This is Palmer with his black gloves on. Spot stopped at the moment there in the middle by the Chelsea midfielder. Long ball over the top. Here is Cole Walker, other side of the pitch now. And well left by Kajani all the way back at the moment to Stefan Ortega for Manchester City to move it away. Now here's Laporte again. Long ball, left-footed, over the top, halfway across, all the way to Cole Walker, right on the halfway mark of the match. And there's a definite change in the press. You can see very much at the moment that Manchester City are going to press Chelsea. Chelsea are not going to press Manchester City. They very much seem to be happy for City to have the ball on the halfway line as Trevor Chalobah there is able to clear the ball out.
Yeah, it's very much going the way as expected. Chelsea just inviting pressure and perhaps hoping for a counter-attacking opportunity, as demonstrated by those quick passes earlier. It's a dangerous game City are playing, pressing this high up, because it can take, as you said, very much similar to England-Senegal, one perfectly placed long ball, and suddenly half the team's out the game. So we shall see if Chelsea can exploit that.
Well, you think that's Graham Potter's game plan at the moment. He's a younger team that he's putting out today. Mind you, as well, he's got a couple of got one player making their debut today for Chelsea. So it could be, and that, of course, is Bashir Humphreys, who's at number 42, who is playing Rhodes in the centre of defence. Here's Ankajani again, and Laporte, both are very comfortable on the ball and have seen a lot of it at the moment for Manchester City. This is Sergio Gomez. Back to Laporte, who's put under a little bit of pressure by Kai Havertz, but backs up quite quickly when suddenly arriving is Stefan Ortega. Of course, the other Chelsea backup goalkeeper last thing, Zach Steffen, who made that horrible blunder in the FA Cup semi-final, is not playing today. This is Nkajani. Ortega. I have to say, very weird to call a goalkeeper Ortega after years watching great Argentine number 10 Ortega. Laporte with a ball over the top to Palmer, who's onside at the moment. A chance. Side netting. A lovely little long ball, and I think the flag's gone up in the end. And sadly, it won't be the case there for Cole Palmer, who burst through. Let's have a look. Was he onside?
He was well onside from that angle that I've just seen. It's a shame the finish almost. We're talking a post's widths away from scoring a goal there for Palmer. But yes, it was onside. I don't know what they flagged for. Oh, hold on. Oh.
Well, it ended up coming back to Palmer again. He decided to have another go, but sadly only found 3 points. But the corner was signalled from that. So obviously when the shot went through the legs of Arrizabalaga, there was the slightest deflection and it went wide. That was our first attempt on goal. We're 19 minutes in, and thank you all for joining us here on the Commentary Hub, the home of alternative commentary today. You've got exclusive FA Cup access and coverage from us, and at half-time we'll bring you an update of what's taking place during the game between Aston Villa and Stevenage. Plus, as well, you can hear all the news and reviews from a resident panel that we have for us, and we'll be back to Nicholas at half-time. As for us, well, we're just coming up to the halfway mark fairly shortly of the first half, and Gallagher here, though, has played all right. This is Trevor Chalobah for Chelsea. First opportunity to move forward. Gallagher. Now with the pass back out wide. This is Bashir Humphreys. Back into Humphreys. Bashir Humphreys again. Koulibaly is showing an option, and Manchester City once again pressing and making an opportunity to move forward. This is Arrizabalaga here for Chelsea. Little pass out wide. Now at the moment is the pass forwards. That's a long ball over the top. It'll be read there by Ortega. Now, was there potentially a chance that Hakim Ziyech here has been brought down? Referee Robert Jones doesn't want to know about it. We shall stay with it very shortly at the moment to see if there is anything. It's Sergio Gomez, who does look slightly at the moment guilty of that, if I do say so myself. We understand there has been a controversial moment potentially at Villa Park. We'll come to that very shortly. We go back to, we'll speak to our colleague Russ that is covering that game for a brief update on that. But at the moment here, we can tell you there that it doesn't look like VAR are going to review this. Here is Gallagher bursting forward for Chelsea. Kai Havertz trying to find half a yard. Can't quite find it. Ortega is across. This game is just starting at the moment to come to life at the moment. Let's go over to Russ here at Villa Park for an update about a controversial moment in the game there, Russ.
Yes, Trevor, it was a fantastic move by Stevenage down the right-hand side. Ball come back into Danny Rose, who finished it off nicely, but Danny Rose has just gone a fraction offside. Stevenage are playing well here, Trev. It remains Aston Villa 0, Stevenage 0, 22.5 minutes gone.
Well, there you go. We'll keep you up to date of that. Stevenage fans, what a big day for them in the third round of the FA Cup. And we have seen some great games. Now, here is a repeat of this, Chris. Views on that looks like an accident to me.
It looked like a perfectly executed swan dive to me from the defender. There wasn't too much touch on Ziyech there as City looked to counter here. Hold on.
But they do indeed at the moment. Alvarez bursting forward, charging out wide. This is Riyad Mahrez at the moment, doing well to hold off Hall. Referee gives the free kick, and probably quite rightly so, but it looked to me to be very much a player standing his ground. Kovacic and Jorginho across, and Manchester City with a free kick. Thoughts on this one, Chris?
Well, Hall just basically clatters into him and doesn't really get any of the ball. So it is quite rightly a free kick. I know the Chelsea players are arguing that they should have had a free kick the other end, but the one replay that we've seen of it so far, it didn't look like there was too much contact. And if there was, it was very much accidental. So, but first major chance of the match potentially from a set piece here.
Well, we've seen some interesting set pieces, particularly at the World Cup. There was some that were loaded in. Weghorst, who could potentially be Manchester United bound with a famous equaliser in the 9th minute of stoppage time against Argentina. This is more a traditional effort from distance. Riyad Mahrez and Bernardo Silva are over this. Arrizabalaga is lining up the wall at the moment. There are 3 lining up across. Looks as if Mason Mount is going to dive in and make it a 4-man wall. Manchester City, no, this is an opportunity for them to get a foothold in the game. It will be It's a fantastic goal! I'll tell you what, Riyad Mahrez has just scored an absolute beauty. Left-footed free kick that's flown over the bar and in. You could have 20 people on the line. They wouldn't get near that. It's Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0.
Well, you just had a feeling with, obviously, Riyad Mahrez scoring in the previous fixture just 3 days ago. He fancied another one. I don't think Arrizabalaga covers himself in a lot of glory here. He stood a long way to the left, which encouraged the shot. But I tell you what, that's about as far into the top right-hand corner as you could possibly get it. I don't think it would have mattered where you would have stood, how tall the goalkeeper was, or how many you had. You wouldn't have stopped it. It was a piece of absolute genius, as some people would say.
Well, yeah, it looks to be there's to be the ever so slightest of touch as that free kick goes in, but exactly the halfway mark through the first half, Manchester City take the lead against Chelsea and have first blood and light the blue touch paper in this contest at the moment. So now it'll be a test here of Graham Potter's men in this West London side. They've had such a tumultuous few weeks with what has taken place. Rodri picking up a poor pass. Arrizabalaga tried to play the ball forwards. And Silva and Walker combining. And already you can see there's a little bit more of a spring in the step of those in light blue at the moment in front of their home fans. This is Sergio Gomez. And Kai Havertz has just stolen that. And it just looked for a second that there could have been on the counter-attack. There might still be now. Ziyech at the moment. Kovacic, furthest forward we've seen him in the match all so far. Lewis Hall, number 67. Has to slow it down. Can't quite see enough options for him. Koulibaly. And Chelsea here pressing forward for the first time in the contest at the moment. This is Bashir Humphreys. And back to him again. 25 minutes gone. Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0. The score in the 23rd minute. Lovely 25-yard free kick by Riyad Mahrez. Really was inch perfect. Right into the corner. Completely unstoppable. And Chelsea have lost the ball. Foden brings it all the way back here to Bernardo Silva. Under the guise there of Pep Guardiola. And it's worth noting for Pep Guardiola, in all his managerial career, he has never gone out in the first stage of a cup competition in which it's a domestic trophy, whether that was in Spain, whether that was in the Bundesliga, or whether that has been at the moment in the FA Cup. A fantastic record, but it's been in the League Cup at the moment that he has dominated that competition in recent years. Here is Kyle Walker. Exchange of pass with Mahrez, the goal scorer. Bernardo Silva getting one past Hall, and Manchester City really comfortable on the ball at the moment. There goes Mahrez, lovely pass out wide. Sergio Gomez, Cole Palmer shows for him. Alvarez is still in the middle at the moment, and Riyad Mahrez was waiting behind him. Gallagher has made the interception. And Manchester City here, Chris, starting to look like they're in control at the moment of this contest.
Yeah, I think if Pep would have drawn it up, a goal in the early stages of the match is ideal, as Palmer is just trying to pirouette his way round. I think he's got a corner for that. But yeah, it's gone to plan, basically, for Pep. And having Chelsea basically having to attack Manchester City at this point is very much playing into City's hands, because they just press, and they've got the creative players to keep hold of the ball. So very much going to plan. Not the greatest start for Chelsea.
Well, Foden's corner as well. Anchor Johnny is forward. There was the header by Laporte, and it could be a chance for Alvarez. The effort is blocked at the moment, and it just looked like Riyad Mahrez was going to go and strike that with his right foot. Here is Kyle Walker. Bernardo Silva. Mahrez is still out wide. Here he is now. Will cut inside on his left foot, as he always does. Famously done. The player at the moment that has won the only player on the pitch that has won the Football League Championship. Incredible statistic, as well as the Premier League, I should say so. This is Rodri. And at the moment there, I can still see Anchor Johnny playing forward, so Manchester City still think there is a chance. It's now looking like Muriel Laporte is just starting to run back. And Phil Foden at the moment is the furthest player back. And that is about a better definition for total football, as you could probably see. Ball in the end for Alvarez. Good touch. Can he get it all the way past Koulibaly? He cannot. Referee at the moment signals a goal kick. And Alvarez at the moment. 4 goals in the World Cup. 2 in the semi-final. Was outstanding very much in that final. And probably would have done a little bit of celebrating over Christmas. And is that a handball potentially I see from Havertz?
I don't know if they're checking it. He's checking it. There could be a second goal opportunity here for City.
Well, Kai Havertz looks a guilty man at the moment as well. Referee Robert Jones has obviously heard the John Brooks here, and yes,
dear.
That looks like a handball to me.
I'm afraid that is a stonewall penalty if I've ever seen it. He's punched that away from, I think that's Laporte that went for it, but that's pretty stonewall. If he doesn't give this, I'll be very surprised.
Well, Diego Maradona and Thierry Henry, not quite the handballs of brilliance. That was definitely at the wrong moments. The penalty has been signalled for. Manchester City here has a chance, potentially, in the 29th minute of the first half to go 2 goals to the good up. And to take the spot kick, tell you what, it's a World Cup hero himself, Julian Alvarez, who's getting a little earful at the moment from Ariza Balaga before taking this spot kick.
I love this part. Like I know the Argentina goalkeeper has certainly sort of emphasised on the whole trash talking, but I love the mind games between goalkeeper and penalty taker there. Both of them have a smile on their face, but it's a no lose situation for the goalkeeper. So He's put all the pressure on the taker. Let's see what happens.
Julian Alvarez at the moment for Manchester City. A chance to step up at the moment and put them 2 goals up. Little shuffle. Great penalty. Just gets it in. The dive that was made there by Arrizabalaga just wasn't quite able to get near to it. Manchester City 2-0 up. And you suspect now they've got 1 foot firmly in the 4th round. And Kai Havertz may regret here trying to Superman punch that clearance away.
Yeah, it was, as I said, this is very much going perfectly to plan for City. They want to get the goals early, so they're in control. They can dictate how this game goes now. It's a cracking penalty. Arrizabalaga just gets a touch on it. He'll be a bit disappointed that he didn't get more on it. Guessed the right way. Just couldn't quite get a strong enough hand on it. It's either way, it's 2-0. It was a good enough penalty. He hit the target, hit it low. It's always hard for a goalkeeper to stop a low penalty. And yes, very much the view there for all Chelsea fans to reciprocate with that one. A big sigh. It's 2-0 after 30 minutes. It's not an ideal scenario for Chelsea right now.
Very much not so. I'm sure Chelsea would hope that they would get a little of more of a foothold in this contest than they have done. Still yet really to go ahead and threaten at the moment anything more than what's taken place in this game at the moment. One thing must be said though with Arrizabalaga, who has been criticised for his ability to save penalties, and referee here giving the free kick against the moment. I believe the attempt by Alvarez. So if we have a look at 4 attempts at the moment by Manchester City, a free kick and a penalty. There's only 2 set pieces yet to score from open play. Sure, Chelsea will feel that there's still a chance, and there could be a chance on the break at the moment. Mahrez chasing Havertz, and Ankajani's got it. And Ortega, clever pass there to Rodri, and with corners personified, Manchester City move it and have it right at the moment on the halfway line. Good control there from Palmer. This is Gomez. Foden, that's poor. He's lost it. Chelsea move it away. Jorginho's played it outright. This is Hakim Ziyech, just 2 in the area. It's Mason Mount at the moment and Kai Havertz in there. Now the cross was in. It's headed away from Bernardo Silva. This is Kovacic. Now at the moment is a chance of Koulibaly, who's wearing the number 26. Famously asked John Terry to wear that 26. There's been a development at Villa Park. We'll go to that very shortly. We'll just wait to see what happens with play at the moment as this happens at the moment. Here is Koulibaly for Chelsea. And in the end, it has gone back to Ankajani. Let's go to Russ at Villa Park. There's been a development there, Russ, I understand.
Yes, and it's been a goal for Aston Villa, and it's the first goal of the season for Morgan Sanson, who puts Aston Villa into the lead. Fantastic play from Leon Bailey on the edge of the penalty area. He plays the ball through, and Sanson onside fires it past Ashby Hammond to give the Premier League side the lead. It's Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0, Trev.
Well, goals all around at the moment of an FA Cup 3rd round that really has delivered. There have been some cracking contests, I think, none more so than the brilliant performance there of National League Wrexham going ahead and getting through 4-3 against Coventry in one of the best games of the competition. But this is starting to look like run-of-the-mill stuff for Manchester City, and Chelsea are starting to look like a side which are injury hit at the moment and certainly don't have the players. And maybe, could you say, on the team selection, Graham Potter has potentially decided to favour the Premier League? We'll wait and see if the pass we made correctly from Havertz, he's played out to Lewis Hall. No, he has not. Kyle Walker's gone across, and I guess it's a metaphor at the moment for Chelsea's day. They have been in a couple of opportunities, but no real quality. Maybe I would say, Chris, are they potentially favouring the Premier League versus the FA Cup based on the lineups they put out?
That would be the assumption. I mean, arguably they've had injury troubles as well, which may have led to them picking this side. They distinctly lack an out-and-out striker. I know Kai Havertz is a very good goal scorer, but there isn't really anybody that I see on the pitch for Chelsea that Manchester City really fear. So I think it's Manchester City would have seen the lineup and they would have felt very comfortable with themselves dealing with this Chelsea side. And they're also lacking somebody being able to play the killer ball yet, because so far they haven't been able to get through the City defence. They've been untroubled, really.
Well, Lewis Hall's been caught out of position. This is Kyle Walker at the moment for Manchester City, charging forwards. Little flick there by Mahrez, looking for Alvarez, and Foden nearly gets to that. And nearly scored one of the cheekiest goals at the beginning of this contest, but There is Arrizabalaga is able to catch it. And a game and a contest at the moment, which is very much going to plan. Well, while you are doing this, just to remind you all, everybody, here on the Commentary Hub, that we'll bring you live and exclusive games here all throughout the season. You can listen to alternative commentary, particularly if you ever hear the words of your commentators are Lee Dixon and Sam Mattis face. Come and look us up. Come listen to some people that don't sit there and sound like paint drying slowly. Here's Rodri. Lovely pass. Alvarez just got a flick to it. Wasn't quite able to get it past. And there was Arrizabalaga across. And Alvarez just starting to come into the game, this young man.
It's kind of scary looking at this Manchester City team and thinking, like, Alvarez has had a wonderful World Cup, and what's gone on here? Bernardo Silva's hit the deck on the edge of the box. I think they've got a free kick, I want to say. We couldn't see what happened because there was a replay going on of the Alvarez chance, but the depth that this Manchester City squad has is just scary. A lot of their substitutes, especially today, would make most people starting lineups. And Koulibaly just 2 knees into Bernardo Silva's shins on the edge of the box. Quite rightly, another free kick. It's probably a little too close to shoot, but you know, one man is going to try and get another goal from a set piece. It's that man Mahrez again.
Yeah, Riyad Mahrez was the penalty taker for a short period. Certainly was for Leicester City in his time. Now, Arrizabalaga may look to line a wall up for 3 players in the wall. He's drifted wide again. So if Mahrez can get this up and down, it's just Ziyech, Havertz, and Mount in the wall. Lewis Hall seems to be the spare part in the middle at the moment. There is a certain gap to goal at the moment. Will Mahrez go for it? He does, and it's just parried away there by Arrizabalaga. And it'll be a corner. And it turns out it was just about far enough out to shoot.
Only just. He didn't quite get enough whip on it to trouble Arrizabalaga. It was a tricky height, but he had that covered all day long, that one. Electing to go with the double fist punch for that one. So most traditional goalkeepers would have said, oh, he should have caught that one, but get it away first, worry about where the ball goes later. That's the first priority, especially in this scenario. There's a lot of pushing and shoving going on in the box.
Yeah, Jorginho and Cole Palmer having a mild boxing contest at the moment as the corner comes in and is claimed by Arrizabalaga. We talked there about goalkeepers, a union complaining that they should be sort of picked up famously, and sadly we do have to say that condolences go out to the family and the great nation of Brazil for the loss of the genius that was Pelé. But when Pelé's header was brilliantly saved by Gordon Banks in Guadalajara in 1970, famous Bobby Moore tapped him on the head and said, next time, Gordon, don't give a corner.
Yes. I mean, it was only the greatest save ever recorded on TV, but, you know, you've given up a corner. Quite right. But yes, it was very much... I mean, you can watch that replay again and again, and it still baffles me how Gordon Banks, 1, read it, and 2, got some kind of hand to it. It was just a baffling save.
Yes, made almost the point that apparently Pelé allegedly shouted goal from the moment the ball left his head and couldn't quite believe what happened. Definitely a game between two teams at the peak of their powers. But as the game develops, and it did in 1970, that substitutes came in, and that was England's downfall and the start of what's been a 50-odd years of disaster. Here's Cole Walker. That's 3-0. That's a lovely touch in the end from Phil Foden, who finds himself in far too much room at the moment and is able to strike the ball home for Manchester City. Oh, I say, Chelsea, this is starting to look worrying. It's a blue moon rising at the moment over the Etihad. It's a 3rd goal. It's Phil Foden getting back to his best and starting to look like it after he impressed so much for England in the World Cup. And Manchester City surely have this game wrapped up in the 38th minute.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx. I don't want to pull the whole Ali McCoy that this is game over at 3-0. I'm pretty sure he said that in the past and got proven wrong. But look at the space. Mahrez was in there. Switch of play, lovely. You see the overlapping run from Kyle Walker. Finds a bit of space. First time into the box. And just the perfect man, Phil Foden, sitting on the edge of the 6-yard box with an easy tap in. Lampard-esque goal that was, I've got to say. Very similar to what he used to do at Chelsea. But there's no stopping that one. And yeah, this game is very much looking like game, set and match. It's just a matter of formalities at this point.
Well, changes made by Pep Guardiola and a new front three has come in. And all 3 players at the moment has scored. So no wonder Pep Guardiola is delighted. And Chelsea are very much looking like they're going to take a very unwanted record, knocked out of consecutive seasons of consecutive cup competitions by the same side. Liverpool twice last season, both on penalties in the final. Now it's looking like after getting eliminated 2-0 by Chelsea in the League Cup, they could well be eliminated by 3 or more at the moment. And with Graham Potter, much to think about of a side that really has, at the moment, been outclassed. Last 5 of 6 Chelsea's away matches to City, they've lost. Last win, you've got to go back to May 2021, right in the end of the dawns of what was lockdown at the moment. Let's go over to Russ here at Villa Park. A moment for Stevenage.
Yes, it's a fantastic play from Stevenage down the left-hand side, Trevor. He's come to Luke Norris, who cut in from the edge of the penalty and killed a shot towards the top corner of the net. It just went just over the bar in the end, but that's a brilliant chance for Stevenage. It was almost 1-1. It remains 1-0 Aston Villa. Good for 41.5 minutes gone here, Trevor. Remains Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0. But if you just stay with me a second, Stevenage coming on the tail with Ruther Welding over on that far side. Wonderful ball in, but straight into the arms of Robin Olsen, who remains Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0.
Well, there you go. The game heating up at Villa Park at the moment. The game's starting to sort of die down in terms of its competitive here at the moment between Manchester City and Chelsea.
Well, one thing we did miss whilst Ross was going on about Villa, we just saw Hall send 2 people for chips in the midfield and then laying off a lovely pass, which it was a lovely bit of skill. Just a shame that they're 3-0 down. Otherwise, I think more people would appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lovely touch there by Lewis Hall to move it away. Really is worth it. And it's moments like this when you are down. Famously, sometimes when you are getting beat, if you can find a performance in the second half, certainly that can give you some encouragement throughout the season. From a personal standpoint, the 4-4 result is still very much on at the moment because there's only got to be a few more goals to go get that, as Kai Havertz is battling there against Sergio Gomez. He's back to Cole Palmer, turns Mason Mount, 2 young Englishmen here. There's Trevin Chalobah winning it back. Now it's Hakim Ziyech, only man forward here for Chelsea, runs into trouble. Mateo Kovacic and Havertz turning and finding a little bit of room. Chelsea at the moment have got to find something before half-time. You really feel to get back into this. Jorginho getting dispossessed at the moment. Julian Alvarez that's come all the way back. And now moving forward, and Conor Gallagher was trying to go forwards. Referee Robert Jones has brought up, and I believe that's a foul there on Mary Laporte. It looks like he's been caught in the face, I wonder, with a handbag.
Couldn't really tell. I feel like, did he take a boot to the face, perhaps? Not really sure. He was... maybe he slid into Conor Gallagher's hand. Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, you've thrown yourself into Conor Gallagher's arm. It's, I wouldn't say it was a soft foul, but it was, I mean, it wasn't really a foul, was it? Let's be honest.
No, it wouldn't have sufficed in the Aldershot District League Division 3. I can tell you that from experience. That would have been, here you go, a bit of magic sponge, get on with it. But anyway, let's move on. Enough of what used to be the way of football. As I said, a football broadcaster, 10 years retired now, and enjoying this side of the game. Here's Bernardo Silva to play it forward, and Ankajani to bring it forward for Manchester City. Kyle Walker, and here is Riyad Mahrez, whose brilliant free kick opened the scoring at the moment. Rodri, who's running the show, signed a new contract till 2027 now. So Pep Guardiola sees something very important. That's a lovely ball over the top at the moment for Gomez. Just Alvarez in the area at the moment. Here's Phil Foden arriving, trying to pull it back at the moment for Alvarez. Trevor Chalobah to Jorginho to get it away. Gallagher's not going to get to that. Chelsea at the moment are all over the place trying to clear it away. Rodri just keeps it in. Does really well to keep it in, mind you. Back to Laporte to keep it in away if the cameraman can keep up with it. Yes, he can. We're about 90 seconds away from finding out how much stoppage time that we're going to play at the end of the first half, Chris. But if you were Chelsea, what would you be, if you're Graham Potter, what would you be saying at half time?
Shoot would be the first port of call. The thing is, they haven't really created many opportunities because the City defence and the City press has been relentless. So it's really hard to say. I think there's probably going to be some subs at half time, I would imagine, because they're just not creating anything, and when they are getting through, they're just being outnumbered in defence. So it's just they just need to try something, but take a few more risks at this point because you're 3-0 down. There's nothing to lose, and he just needs to give them a bit of a rocket up the backside. Although Manchester City might score a fourth here if they're not careful.
Yeah, pushing forward here, Chelsea. This is Alvarez out wide at the moment. Palmer, Rios goes inside of him. This is Riyad Mahrez. Oh, right across goal. There was Alvarez diving across. The ball has actually stayed in. Lewis Hall will pick it away and move it the last 30 seconds of the 45 ball at the moment. Kovacic past the Koulibaly. Jorginho. Oh, that's going to be a corner, and that just sums up Chelsea's day. They just have not been at the races at the moment.
You want the definition of a hospital pass? That's one of them.
Well, Jorginho famously once said that in 2021, perhaps the Ballon d'Or should have been his. Champions League winner and Euro 2020 winner. Wasn't to be. Certainly my vote for that season was outstanding. Here's Foden, just trying to float it in, and Arrizabalaga reads this one. 2 minutes of time added on here at the Etihad. At half-time, we'll hand you back to Nicholas. He'll give us a rundown of everything which has taken place and a full recap of the third round so far. We'll also go ahead and speak to Russ, who's at Villa Park for us, and give us a breakdown of what sounds like a very interesting game between Aston Villa and Stevenage. That's all to come here. And in the second half, you've got the company of Chris and I. And you never know, we could see one of the greatest FA Cup comebacks of all time, or we could see Manchester City go ahead and compound one of the most impressive wins of all time. It's worth noting at the moment between these two sides in their FA Cup folklore at the moment, this is the 8th meeting between them. Manchester City have won 4, Chelsea have won 3, including the last 2. And when the sides met in 2016, Chelsea ran out 5-1 winners then. And that was the season after the Pep Guardiola arrived shortly. And then, of course, 1-0 in the 2021 semi-final. So Chelsea have certainly had the leg up over Manchester City in recent time. At the moment here, though, I mean, you can look at the UEFA Champions League victory that also took place, but some say that was the Tuchel effect. And Manchester City, though, have really turned it around. Guardiola on Potter. And the final 30 seconds. This is Riyad Mahrez. Cole Walker looks to run ahead. There's Lewis Hall. Lovely little touch from Lewis Hall again. Wins the free kick. Starting to grow in the game, isn't he, the young man?
He is. He's despite the scoreline, showing a lot of confidence on the ball, and he's not afraid to take risks. And he's probably arguably been one of the bright sparks of Chelsea's first half. There haven't been many. Arrizabalaga has been reasonable with his distribution, but in terms of standout performance, Hall probably is the one for Chelsea as the half-time whistle goes.
Well, football is a game of risks at the moment, and Chelsea will certainly have to go and take a risk or two in the second half. The front three for Manchester City have been on fire at the moment. Goals from Foden, Alvarez and Mahrez certainly making the difference. The halfway mark in this contest, looks like Manchester City are halfway there. It's 3-0 to the Sky Blues.
Thank you, Trevor. And before we go into anything else, half-time update on Aston Villa against Stevenage from Russ Vernon.
Yes, thank you, Nicholas. It is still Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0. It was a fantastic goal from Morgan Sampson, which put Aston Villa into the lead. But Stevenage almost went close to an equaliser when Lou Norris caught an effort just wide and just over from the corner of the penalty area, from the left-hand corner of the penalty area. There the goal disallowed as well, Stevenage, for an offside against Danny Rose. With at half-time, it is Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0 here, Nicholas.
Thanks, Russ. And there are also other games in the third round earlier today. In the third round, Bristol City 1, Swansea City 1, Derby County 3, Barnsley 0, Cardiff City 2, Leeds United 2, Hartlepool United 0, Stoke City 3, Norwich City 1, Norwich City 0, I should say, Blackburn Rovers 1, and Stockport County 1, Walsall 2. And the draw for the fourth round was conducted earlier today. And Russ, I believe you can tell us who will be playing who in the fourth round.
That is right, Nicholas. I can tell you that. And just before I do tell you that, I'd just like to tell you the ties for the fourth round will be played at the end of January. The weekend of the 28th of January is the fourth round date for the FA Cup. And the ties are as followed. Preston North End versus Tottenham Hotspur, Southampton against Blackpool, Wrexham against Sheffield United, Ipswich Town against Burnley, Manchester United against Reading, Luton Town or Wigan Athletic against Grimsby Town, Derby County versus West Ham United, Stoke City against Aston Villa or Stevenage. It's looking like Aston Villa at the moment, although Stevenage are playing quite well in the game I'm watching. Blackburn Rovers against Forest Green or Birmingham. Their game yesterday, Forest Green and Birmingham, was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch at Forest Green. Walsall versus Leicester. Sheffield Wednesday knocked out Newcastle yesterday, which you heard on the commentary with myself. Russ Vernon, who's got Fleetwood Town. Manchester City or Chelsea, who looks like it's going to be Manchester City, will be playing Oxford or Arsenal, who play tomorrow evening, which will be actually with myself and hopefully Mike Ornament on co-commentary for me with that one. Bristol City or Swansea take on Chesterfield or West Brom. Brighton will take on Liverpool or Wolves. It's Fulham versus Sunderland, and it's Bournemouth or Accrington Stanley against Cardiff City or Leeds United, following the 2-2 draw at the Cardiff City Stadium earlier today. Accrington's and Bournemouth's draw yesterday at Meadow Park. That is a fourth round draw for the FA Cup.
Thanks, Russ, and we can now talk. Thanks, Russ, and we can now talk about what happened in the first half. And all I can say is that it was Manchester City have run rings around Chelsea so far. Will they be able to carry this on in the second half?
Well, at the minute, the way City are playing, Chelsea would be better off going home at half time and just forfeiting the match. That's basically how bad Chelsea have been in the first half. City have been brilliant, Chelsea have been woeful. That's the combination that has led to this halftime scoreline, which, quite frankly, is almost it's not really surprising given recent Chelsea form, is it? So, is there any hope for Chelsea to come back? I mean, they've got their new signing on the bench. Perhaps they could bring him on, see what he can do. But Kai Havertz is being singled out by a lot of Chelsea fans as pretty much being irrelevant and almost playing with 10 men, with him currently playing as a 9. So maybe a change of shape, maybe a lot of substitutions at half-time. But Graham Potter's got to do something. Otherwise, the scoreline could get embarrassing.
Need I remind you, you can't abandon a match just because a team is playing so badly. But to get back to Manchester City, they've only made they've missed out on the final for 3 consecutive seasons since their last win in 2019. Do you think that the form they're in now means that they could well break that jinx, Chris? We appear to have lost Chris.
It's all right. I've got it. It doesn't help when my microphone was on mute. But going to your question, the Manchester City team can do anything that they put their mind to, really. I mean, let's not forget that recently they were Centurions. They've won more or less every cup competition, barring the UEFA Champions League in recent years. So really, the FA Cup, it's more of a question of when with them. They will win the FA Cup at some point. Maybe it's this year, perhaps, because they weren't expecting the challenge of Arsenal this year, so they might maybe focus their attention on trying to get a different trophy domestically, but we don't know. But on current form, you've got to remember as well, Manchester City have had, some would say, favourable draws in cup competitions, which has certainly helped them for that one. But for this, it's going to be, this could be the year that they finally get their hands on the FA Cup again.
So could we see the likes of Erling Haaland coming on in the second half?
If they did, I would very much. If I was a Chelsea fan, I would be crying because it's. I personally think at this point, provided that Chelsea don't have some kind of wicked revival in the second half, Pep will just take the opportunity to rest his players because City, of course, will be in every competition. They'll want to try and keep the squad as fresh as possible and obviously avoid injuries. So whether Haaland will want to come on to chase a goal record perhaps himself, the decision ultimately will be down to Pep. But as current things stand, he could put them on. He doesn't really need to, though. Not on current form. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. To rub it in Chelsea's faces, Manchester City actually beat Chelsea in the EFL Cup third round. And this is something that I'm sure Chelsea fans will not want to hear. They were beaten by the same team in the same stage of the tournament last year in both the EFL Cup and the FA Cup, and Chelsea are in danger of having the same team, same stage jinx again. Just thought I'd point that out to anyone interested in trivia and the facts as much as I know you and Trevor are.
Well, there is such a thing as a bogey team, and I would very much say that Manchester City are Chelsea's bogey team at the minute because it doesn't matter what they do; they seem to end up falling short against them.
Yes, indeed. They certainly do, and before we go back into the second half, as Ross mentioned, we have another third round game tomorrow in Arsenal in Oxford United against Arsenal. I'm going to be hosting that one with Ross Vernon. We are hoping to get Mike Harneman on there as well. But we are now. But the second half is just me. The second half is just a few minutes away now, and I actually checked out some of the stats beforehand. As much as 10 Chelsea players have been injured, and that has done Chelsea no good. Whatsoever. And so we are just about a few minutes away from the start of the second half. So let's hand back over to Chris Whiteman and Trevor Sports.
Well, thank you very much here for getting back to us here in the Etihad. It's worth knowing at the moment that when we're talking about Chelsea, and it's worth talking about Gianluca Vialli. Gianluca Vialli himself started off as a youngster playing for Sampdoria, his boyhood club. Ended up playing in the 1992 European Cup final for them, as well as winning Serie A side, which completed no less than Roberto Mancini, Lombardo Donsena, and for a very brief period of time also contained David Platt. From there, he moved over to Juventus, where he went on to win the 1996 European Cup, a dream of his finally fulfilled for a player that did play for 2 World Cups for Italy, scoring in Italia 90. Then Gianluca Vialli joined Chelsea in 1996, and from there he went on to show his class, an FA Cup winner with them as a player. Then went on to become player manager, where he won the League Cup. Along with the League Cup, he went ahead and he won the Cup Winners' Cup. Before once again as a manager winning the FA Cup and moving on, Gianluca Vialli's career was finalised by being Roberto Mancini's number 2. The great striking partnership of them in management continues. And in that situation there, the two of them ended up hitting the peak, perhaps, of their professional lives when Italy beat England at Wembley on penalties to take home Euro 2020 last year. Gianluca Vialli was an absolute gentleman, a quality player, and from everyone here on the TC Hub, where hearts and thoughts go out to all his friends and family, and football will certainly be poorer for the fact that there's no Gianluca Vialli in the world. Well, let's go ahead and just start to review the start of the second half here at the moment. We've seen a contest at the moment in which Manchester City have completely controlled the game against Chelsea. From a tactical standpoint at the moment, Chris, I'd love to know your thoughts on what you think Chelsea have got to do, because surely they've got to make changes. Who would you bring on? Who would you bring off? What would you do to turn this around?
Well, I mean, if it was me, if I was in Graham Potter's position, it would very much be throw everything at him and just see what happens. Forget the game. The game is out of hand already. I mean, you don't want it to get embarrassing, but at the same time, you at least want to give it a go. I would probably end up going 3 at the back, cram the midfield, and throw as many people forward as possible. But they've got a few players on the bench that could make a difference. Obviously, their new signing, their new striker is sat on the bench as well. So perhaps Fofana, brought in for £8 million, he could perhaps come on. I would probably take Havertz off. He's been basically invisible for most of the game. Unfortunately, that's just how it's gone for him. But it's a little bit too cagey, the way that they've set up their midfield. There is 5 of them, but it's essentially you've got 2 holding midfielders, which at this point when you're 3-0 down, you don't need 2 holding midfielders. So change it to 3 at the back, have a holding midfielder, let everyone else freely go forward and attack, and just have a go. Because at this point, it feels like you've kind of just given up if you carry on the way you are. So they just need to at least get out there and score a couple of goals. Give your travelling fans something to cheer about.
Yeah, and sometimes that could be the way of giving it a go. We saw very much in the World Cup, it was highlighted by sides that were able to really give it a go from situations in which it was looking very, very dire. Most notably England that gave it a go, but in the end didn't quite have the quality defensively to hold out France at the end. So the stage is set for this contest. Manchester City know at the moment that if nothing happens at all, they'll be in the hat for the 4th round, and a potential date there at the draw with Arsenal. If Arsenal, in their wonderful form, can get past Oxford, that could be a bit of a real mouth-watering contest for the 4th round.
It can be a mouth-watering contest and a very bad distraction for both teams, because both teams may look at it and go, I don't want any injuries, I don't want it to derail the league. And you could end up with 2, a bit similar to today, 2 kind of misfit sides. And anything could happen at that point. So potentially, although of course the potential of Oxford playing Manchester City, also a mouth-watering tie. But everyone's kind of got their eye on potentially a clash of the top 2 in the Premier League and the FA Cup, which is always a bit exciting when it happens because it's something else to fight for.
It is indeed. The potential, there will be one other all-Premier League side. Brighton will play Liverpool or Wolves. That has been decided as well. Manchester United, after they kicked off the FA Cup weekend, well, they'll be at home to Reading, and Obi Paulus has returned to that. Wrexham, after their fantastic performance at the Racecourse Grounds, will be hosting Sheffield United of the Championship. Could they go ahead and prove another shock as they add to them the days of Mickey Thomas and what they did to Arsenal back in 1991. Well, the Etihad Stadium here is getting set. The players are getting ready. And I believe there has been a change at the moment too in the end. At the moment, Fofana and Zakaria are on, and Kovac and Havertz at the moment are off for Chelsea. So Denis Zakaria joins us in the game. And so does David Jactro. Fofana is also in. Just to convert that, Kai Havertz is off at the moment. And Mateo Kovac is also off. So Graham Potter has made 2 changes. And 2 changes you feel that are needed, Chris?
Well, getting Fofana on, I think, was the main thing there. You've got to get out there and see if you can get yourself a goal, because at the minute it's that they were creating nothing. So it's he's going for it. They're at least going to have a go, which is the bare minimum requirement, I feel, for a lot of things like this. So they're going to give it a crack. Maybe a change of shape as well. So we'll see what they can do.
Well, certainly it looks like Chelsea are pushing already as Manchester City kicks off. They're kicking from right to left. And for those of you watching in black and white, Chelsea are playing in the light blue. Here is Rodri to bring it away. And early touch at the moment for Sergio Gomez. Palmer, who has given up the gloves now at half-time. Always a strange thing for players to be wearing gloves. Certainly from running around and just how warm you get. But for some players, it's air of control that it seems to give them. So Graham Potter has played a couple of his cards. Will he go ahead, find an ace in the sleeves, or will this be a chance that ended up folding? For Manchester City, I can confirm at the moment there have been no changes at the halfway mark for them. They stay as they are. But Denis Zakaria comes on and so does David Datro Fofana, the Ivory Coast international, which Chris alluded to was signed for £8 million. There is Rodri, lovely little touch across. There is Laporte, Gomez showing for him straight away as an option. Laporte's back to Rodri, and there is Cole Walker just floating around. Here is Laporte, cut out at the moment there by Fofana. Now here is, well, it could be a similar sort of speed, I guess, to what we saw in the end of the first half. City quite comfortable to keep the ball, but Chelsea got to try and press further forwards. Mount here trying to run forward. Lewis Hall against Riyad Mahrez. And there's Cole Walker. Now again to Bernardo Silva. Casual pass across into the centre of the circle. Now is Laporte moving forward over the halfway line. Cole Palmer, number 80. Surely he's going to look to change that in the future. Obviously, the days when players are numbered 1 to 11 are all very much gone. This is Mahrez up against Mount. Pass to Rodri. Surely Chelsea will know that the next goal will be crucial in this contest. If City get it, it really is all over. Chelsea get it, they may think there's a chance. And in football, sometimes all you need is a chance. Here's Palmer.
There aren't many games where we've witnessed a 3-0 comeback, but the main one that springs to mind, obviously, is that Istanbul one with Liverpool, as that pass is offside, which isn't going to cause too many problems. But early doors in the first half, second half, should I say, it's very much Chelsea coming out with a bit more haste about them. They suddenly realise that they've got to get something quick. But as you say, one goal can open the floodgates, which we shall see.
Well, 3-0, not necessarily a dangerous score. You see 2-0 was a dangerous score because one goal and suddenly the nerves can kick in. I can't see Manchester City nerves kicking in until they were physically level on this contest, and that's going to be a big ask. But still continuing to press. Alvarez is able to get something on Koulibaly's clearance. Mason Mount at the moment is barking orders into the middle. And both sets of players here are looking to move it away. And there is the early touch referee there. Robert Jones gives the foul. Bernardo Silva guilty of it, just running into the back of Mason Mount, who has won that free kick. It was a doubt today here, Mason Mount, but has made it. Is into the contest at the moment. In terms of FA Cup wins since 2016, only Chelsea have more than Manchester City, 27 to 24. Yet in terms of trophies, well, they both have one since 2016. So this goes to show you that Chelsea's three final runs at the moment have ended in heartbreak. What will today do? There is Thiago Silva on the bench here for Chelsea. I highly doubt and suspect that he may see any action today. They're going to be attacking-minded players, and you would sense at the moment that Chelsea are going to have to call to turn this contest around at the moment. Here's Arrizabalaga for Chelsea, right on the edge of his area. Plays it out low and short. There's an early chance for Mount. He's got options to his left, and Lewis Hall has continued his run forward. Definitely showing he's sure a touch at the moment. Fofana was showing for him, and in the end, the pass has got all the way through to Julian Alvarez, who's just been able to burst forward for Manchester City. Needs support. Now it arrives from Mahrez at the moment. Palmer out wide, trying to run through the middle there of Zakaria. Zakaria read it nicely and wants to get the goal kick, and does get it. And already you can see a little bit more intention in Chelsea's play at the moment.
Yeah, they're looking for that good early start, and they're just struggling to kind of break down the midfield at the minute. That sloppy pass from Hall leading to a City attack has essentially reset all the good work that they did in that play. And the high press from City still going on. That there's about 6 players just sitting on the edge of Chelsea's box, which just making it a nightmare to get out of. But they might take the opportunity here with Humphreys.
There's Bashir Humphreys, ball into Hall. It's worth knowing on some of the feedback at the moment that we've had from our viewers at the moment. You might remember JB asking us at the moment, what's the price on Potter's future? Well, we talked about it today. Very much you'd like to think that he's given to the end of the season. But there certainly is a side at the moment that is just going through a horrible injury crisis. And I really hope he's given that chance, because it's not often English managers tend to get top jobs in the Premier League these days.
Well, the main thing, the main alarming stat about the English Premier League is that no Englishman has won it as a manager. So you'd think Graham Potter being given the opportunity as Chelsea manager, you might do it. And that's a very sloppy pass that they just got away with there. They're going to have to get rid of that, City, and they do. But yeah, perhaps Graham Potter thought he might be the first Englishman to do so. But early doors, it's not looking that way. They're currently 10th, and in terms of the FA Cup, they're currently crashing out of it.
Yeah, England need to pull the finger up a bit, bearing in mind that the Scottish managers won it 13 times. So there you go. There's one thing that Scotland can have over England. Havertz, Jorginho guilty of the foul. Here's Cole Palmer moving it forward. Pep Guardiola is still patrolling his technical area. He's refusing to go anywhere at the moment. Rodri looking for the pass at the moment for Riyad Mahrez. That's wonderful. Really good control at the moment. Foden goes short. Looks for options. Rodri continues to move forward. Now Mahrez. Oh, he does well to just get past Hall. It does enough to put him off. Now here's Mahrez. Foden. Bernardo Silva. Laporte for Manchester City. And Mahrez is floated all the way over to the left. Laporte had laid it all the way back there. In the end, to Stefan Ortega to clear it away. And certainly Manchester City in no hurry at the moment to move the ball in this situation. They look very, very comfortable in possession at the moment. And indeed, they've had nearly a third more than their opposition.
It's very much going the way that everyone was expecting, really, with Manchester City just kind of having the ball all to themselves. So Chelsea aren't going to score any goals if they can't get the ball, and I think that's very much the emphasis that Pep has put on the City side for the second half. Don't let them have the ball; they don't score. It's really simple. But Chelsea have got the ball back now, and they might counter.
And they're going to need to counter at the moment. Here's Mount. He was caught there by Rodri. That's a foul. And Robert Jones seems to be coming over potentially. Is he going to dish out the first card of the contest? Yes, he is. Rodri there. What would you call that? A professional foul potentially? Some have called within FIFA that these intentional professional fouls should result in a free kick on the edge of the area, as opposed to the free kick continuing here to try and stamp them out of the game. The red card on the professional foul stopped those from happening. And when they do, people have to accept it. So there are things which can change the game. But now Chelsea will have a chance to play the ball forward. But Manchester City, you can see they're pushing 10 yards outside the area, an incredibly high line. It's Conor Gallagher and Hakim Ziyech over this. And he does play the ball quickly at the moment over the top. There's the shot, and it just flies wide. And you could see that happening when the chance was there. Mounts it with the efforts, and that's about as good as it's got at the moment so far for Chelsea.
Well, it's going to lead to their first corner of the game because the goalkeeper got a touch on it. Not sure whether it was going in. It took a deflection. Let's have a look at from this replay. Was that bending in? Oh, it might have just been bending wide, but the goalkeeper wasn't sure, so he did the safe thing. But Chelsea with their first corner, see if they can do anything from their own set pieces, because most of the goals for City have come from set plays.
Well, it's a low ball into Conor Gallagher. He tries to play it back in the end. The chance goes across to the near post. There was the chance in the end at the moment that arrives for Zakaria, and Manchester City have escaped and just about cleared it away. They have now through Rodri. This is Hall. He needs support. It's arising from the goalkeeper. Kevin Chalobah runs to offer support. Manchester City run to cut off that support line, and the ball goes long. And that may not be a bad thing for Chelsea in looking for that long pass to try and turn things around. This is Bernardo Silva to Rodri. Kyle Walker, lovely little pass inside and gets the return from Rodri. And Walker tried to go on here with the ball and take it round Hull, but wasn't able to do so. He's got the armband today, Kyle Walker. 32-year-old has certainly been in impressive form at the moment for club and for country recently.
He's got it on upside down as well. Shows he doesn't really he doesn't wear it very often, to be fair, so I could understand it being the wrong way up.
Yes, we'll have to call them Petit Cap if that's the case then. But anyway, we'll move on with the rest of the game at the moment, and hopefully the upside down captaincy doesn't bring him bad luck. We're in 56 minutes played. It's Manchester City 3, Chelsea 0. You're listening to live and exclusive alternative coverage at the moment from the Commentary Hub. FA Cup third round, and what a weekend it's been. We'll do it all again in about 3 weeks' time. Hope you'll be there to join us. Could be an absolute cracker. We'll also have updates as the game comes on from Villa Park as Aston Villa take on Stevenage. Aston Villa leading 1-0. We've got our reporter Russ Vernon ready to update us. If you do hear anything, we'll go to him over today. Here is Trevor Chalobah for Chelsea. Under pressure at the moment from Cole Palmer, who's been impressive today, it has to be said, in some of his movements and what he's done. Here's Gallagher for Chelsea. Zakaria. Chalobah over Koulibaly's head, and it is picked up in the end. Gallagher again. Hall inside to Fofana. David Dactro Fofana now, number 27, marshalled out wide. Hall plays it in. Good possession from Chelsea. First time they've really had it. Here is Jorginho, number 5. Trevor Chalobah, number 14, at right back. Support at the moment from Gallagher. Here he is again. And there goes Zakaria trying to go through it, winning a throw-in. And some perhaps the most impressive play at the moment from Chelsea of the match so far.
Yeah, they've certainly been, as this is Pep Guardiola's reaction to just shore things up. Phillips coming on for Rodrigo. Rodrigo has had a fantastic game, has to be said. He's been marshalling that midfield expertly. But yeah, Chelsea certainly, they've come out of the traps a bit better, but time is very much not their friend. They've got just over half an hour to get something going. But a better second half start. They started the second half, should I say, better than the first half. They've just got to hope that they can create something relatively soon. Might bring a bit of life to their attack then. But, Phillips coming on for some much needed game time, of course. And just to shore up that midfield a little bit more.
Well, supposedly Calvin Phillips, when he returned from the World Cup, said he was overweight by Pep Guardiola. Comes to replace Rodri, who has been mightily impressive today in this contest. And at the same time, João Cancelo has come in and slotted into the slot that Sergio Gomez was taken up in the game. If you are tuning along, folks, love to get your views on what you think is the player of the match today. If you can, go ahead and leave your reports in the comments. All you need to do is hashtag player of the match and give your name of the player you think it is. If you match the choice of our illustrious co-commentator Chris Whiteman at the end of the game, I have at least 6 Trevor Bonds that I may think about sending to you at some point in the future if I can be bothered. But still, folks, love to know your views on what the game is and who you think's been the standout player. And there is a standout player warming up at the moment. Erling Haaland's warming up. And is that going to bring a spring and step of Chelsea, or is that just going to breed yet more disaster for Chelsea, you wonder? Is this Pep responding to the fact that Chelsea have had their best spell of possession, and already you can see Chelsea moving forward with the game?
It could be, or it could just be a Pep Guardiola wind-up tactic. You know, you can imagine the defenders looking up and seeing him warming up, and they'd just be thinking, "Oh no." But we don't know. In this scenario, I feel like it would be far too much of a risk to put Haaland on and potentially get injured when City are still in control of this fixture.
Oh, what a fixture it promised to be, but injuries have probably robbed us of the contest that we all hoped for. That's being honest at the moment. Both sides with 2 changes. Reminder here that at the end of this, that we will go to replays at this third round stage this season. The FA Cup itself banning replays for the past 2 seasons due to the pandemic and the fixture congestion. But there is no major summer tournament at the moment, so the FA Cup and the Premier League season will go late into May. And 2 more changes look like going to be made by Graham Potter. It looks as if Cesar Azpilicueta is looking to come on for Chelsea. And I also suspect Amari Hutchinson, the former Arsenal player, is also going to come on in this contest. We'll wait and see what goes on at the moment. This is Aymeric Laporte. Now here's Ankajani. And we'll Ankajani again to Laporte. Back to Ortega, the goalkeeper. In truth, has not had a lot to do today. Stefan Ortega, aside from Arminia Benfield, made 1 appearance so far, the 30-year-old. For his second appearance, looking on a clean sheet, that would be something he'd very much look forward to. Referee still yet not seeing time to make the change, and we have played an hour in this contest. And a reminder, folks, to leave your votes for who you think is player of the match. And if yours, we get to the 90th minute and it matches the choice here of the great Chris Whiteman, then congratulations. There's at least 6 Trevor Bonds. Here is Calvin Phillips, and plays it coolly and calmly back to Manuel Ankajani, the Swiss international. Riyad Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez again for Manchester City. Nice little ball at the moment, looking to play through. Walker here. Mahrez all the way across here to João Cancelo. And he was caught. And a free kick in a promising area for Gallagher. An opportunity to play the ball in. And looks as if there is going to be another booking made by referee Robert Jones. Indeed it is. The yellow card comes out. And Gallagher will think, oh dear, Chris, probably that had been building for a while.
I mean, it's a spectacular foul, gotta say, for what seemed innocuous, but he certainly milked it, Cancelo. It's yeah, Conor Gallagher just picking up a booking. He's definitely somebody whose reputation has been enhanced by loan spells. He was a very good player at Crystal Palace in his most recent one, and it's good to see him get some first-team action for Chelsea. So there are silver linings as Hutchinson coming on for Ziyech and Azpilicueta for Jorginho. So more changes afoot for Chelsea.
Here is Foden's ball in. There's the header away there from Koulibaly. And it's out wide to Riyad Mahrez at the moment. Foden just trying to find half a yard and ends up playing it back rather coolly and calmly, has to be said. And confirmation there that Jorginho has departed and Cesar Azpilicueta has come on. So in this game at the moment, it's looking like at the moment it's starting to be a contest which is falling by the wayside. It's worth noting here that Chelsea at the moment, bear in mind we talked about Conor Gallagher's brilliant foul, as it certainly was as well, is only the second player from Surrey to be playing in the Premier League at the moment. He signed from Epsom. Chris, you know the only other player that's born and raised in Surrey that plays in the Premier League at the moment?
In Surrey? I mean, he's obviously English. Not sure. You'll have to tell me on that one.
Luke Shaw of Manchester United, born from Kingston
really?
upon Thames. There you go. And if I'd ever made it, I would have been the first. But sadly, I didn't have the ability, fitness, or drive. But there we go. I just needed those 3 things, to be fair.
Yes.
Well,
I just needed a left hamstring that worked, and I might have been all right.
Well, you know, these things happen. But there we go. What can you do about them? And for Chelsea here, after they're making their 4 changes, they've yet to be able to affect the game. We're 25 minutes away from Chelsea going out to consecutive cup competitions to consecutive teams. Twice Liverpool, and they're looking like twice this season to Manchester City. And in truth, Manchester City have been a class above. Very much ever since the free kick went in by Riyad Mahrez, they were in complete control after that point. From there, they were able to control the game. And Julian Alvarez's penalty at the half-hour mark really did compound it. 8 minutes later, Phil Foden has found the goal, and it really has turned the game around very much in the favour. Here is a chance here for Fofana, and he's bursting forward. He's won a throw-in in a positive area, and he's shown a little bit of life in the contest. But in terms of the contest, it feels like this was all ended when 6 minutes before half-time, when the third goal arrived from Phil Foden. Azpilicueta, Fofana here for Chelsea. That's Dennis Dacto Fofana showing great strength to push past. Now, it's a poor touch. It's a second poor touch, it has to be said, right on the edge of the area. Here's Gallagher. Thought about the shot, decided not to go for it at the moment. Here's Hull. Gallagher again. And Mahrez is able to intercept quite fantastically. And there is across the area. Now there's a chance out wide at the moment. And this is good running at the moment from Julian Alvarez. A chance for a counter-attack is on. And Chelsea have about 5 players on. And as Chris saying there, players dwelling on the ball there.
Yeah, Gallagher, he just thought about it too much, took 1 too many touches and immediately got closed down. And the way that City are playing at the minute with their, they're playing like they're an angry swarm of bees. The moment somebody touches the ball in dark blue, there's about 4 players around them. So it's Chelsea just don't have the time to dally on the ball. So they've got to be quick with their decision making, and that's very much where City have been catching them this match.
Yeah, it's cutthroat thinking. That's always the case in football. There's a term. There's no being ruthless. What that means, roughly translated, ladies and gentlemen, is very much on the case as well. That players go ahead and take the right decision on the pitch when required. The footballing brain, as they say. Here's Phillips. Now here's Laporte. And the match itself has certainly slowed down in this contest, but one thing we are looking forward to is how this will continue. This is Phillips. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that the 4-4 result is still on today. I feel like at the moment I should be at the point of doing Gary Lineker, saying if we finally get a 4-4, I'll do one of these matches in my underpants. But you can't see my face, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
I mean, if this finishes 4-4, I don't know what I'll do.
I feel
I'll
like
have to think of something.
I feel like we're on a scene from England Manager, the Ricky Tomlinson film. Mike Bassett, where he's going to chuck his job in and go be a binman. But there we go. It's a noble profession.
Yes, it is a noble profession, of course. But Mike Bassett as England manager, that's couldn't have done worse than Sam Allardyce, let's be honest.
To be fair, there is no better cure for COVID than sitting down and watching that, and I can certainly announce that. Here's Cancelo. Thought about the shot in the end at the games, and we'll come to another point at the moment. This is the chance for Bernardo. Back to Calvin Phillips at the moment. He will pass inside to Mahrez. Leaves it off and again. Now here's Phillips. Well, we've heard from the owner and head producer here from the commentary hub. Russ Vernon has said that if this game does finish 4-4, he's going to quit Leeds and support Burnley for the rest of his life. So,
all right,
Burnley fans,
come on then. let's have the best 22 minutes ever.
Yep. All we need to see is 5 goals, and we would have witnessed.
I will hold you to that, Russ. If this somehow finishes 4-4, I want a picture of you in a Burnley shirt sent to me by tomorrow.
Yes, on the way to Turf Moor.
Yep.
Yes. Well, at the moment, it doesn't look like it because Manchester City are in complete control, it has to be said. Good that Calvin Phillips is back on after what took place. What do you make of Pep's comment, him being out of shape and being overweight after back from the World Cup?
I mean, he didn't get used, did he? So it was a bit of a waste of time for him. In all truths, there were a couple of players, weren't there? There was somebody else who went, Maddison as well. Just they got taken and then weren't really used. So it doesn't really surprise me that Phillips has come back a little bit out of shape and lacking sharpness. Has kind of shades of what Jose Mourinho said about Luke Shaw years ago, before Luke Shaw then decided to turn into an absolute animal for the Euros. But it has shades of that. I think Calvin will probably take it on the chin and get back into shape, as that is a stonewall yellow card if I've ever seen one. As Chelsea getting underway, I'll hand it back to you because Azpilicueta has a chance out wide here.
He does, says Azpilicueta, and the chance is not taken, and it's slotted back out.
I had such high hopes, Azpilicueta. I gave the commentary up to stop. Yeah, Bernardo Silva was the trademark. This is a yellow card tackle. But yeah, Phillips, I'm sure he'll be fine. He's at probably the best club in England facilities-wise to get back into shape. So he'll get back on track sooner rather than later, and I dare say he'll use that comment as motivation to perform better. So we shall see, but it's certainly a little bit of a benchmark that Pep's put down for him. Get back in shape, get back in the team.
Well, I think to me that Kari Chukwuemeka is warming up on the bench. We'll wait and see if he will come on for Chelsea. That would be their 5th and final change, if that was to do that. Nicholas, our presenter, has said that if this game finished 4, sure, he'll do the next game in bed. With who, though? That would be the big question we do want to ask. But we'll leave that for him to reveal at the end of the contest.
With
anyway.
Sam Matterface. No.
Well, let's keep going here. Here's an opportunity there for Cole Palmer, Cancelo. Palmer himself has definitely covered himself in glory today with a very mature performance for his age.
Yeah, I think there have been a few younger players that have certainly shown their good sides in this match, including the Chelsea side. I think Hill and Humphreys have both not done themselves any wrongdoing in this match. They've been thrown into a match where they're very much up against one of the best sides in the world, and they've not looked out of place.
No, very much the case, and it's always good to see in terms of the game. Obviously, British football was criticised for its lack of technique that the players that we were producing up to about 10 years ago, and you look at the likes of what we've done here, and you can see that's certainly improving, particularly the likes of Phil Foden. Here's Morris onto his left foot, chance for 4. Oh, nearly was. Left-footed strike curling. Arrizabalaga was stranded, and it's just flashed wide, and that's the best chance Manchester City have had in the second half. Nearly was a fantastic 4 then.
Well, he fancied it again, didn't he? It was on his favourable left foot. If he had a little bit more space, he might have curled that in. But I think Conor Gallagher stuck to him like glue just before he got the shot off. So, yeah, good defending in the end as Mason Mount makes way for Chukwuemeka. I think that's how you say that name. I didn't have a run-up with that one, so yeah.
Yeah, Carney Chukwuemeka is coming in. He signed from Aston Villa this season. 19 years old. His older brother Cano plays for Crawley Town in League Two, so there's a footballing pedigree in that family. And Chelsea will be hoping that that can spark it through. That's just a long clearance. It's suddenly broken well at the moment to Azpilicueta. It's currently 3-on-3 at the moment. It may not be for too much longer. Now it's in the chance at the moment for Omari Hutchinson. And Omari Hutchinson's ball across the middle ended up going nowhere. A man who seems to be reinvigorated after leaving Arsenal last season. But that was just a long clearance, and it just suddenly showed that there was a little chance. But some slight indecision has to be said from Azpilicueta, proving he's certainly a right back and not a rated midfielder.
Yeah, just stick a toe at that. He could have. Hutchinson's ball was just praying for a little deft touch to deflect it towards goal, and he just didn't go for it. So that could have been Chelsea's chance to get a foothold in the game. But there you go. The attempts 8 for Manchester City, 2 for Chelsea. So even if they scored both their goals, they would still not be level. Both their shots, should I say? They scored both their goals. Naturally, that's Michael Owen level punditry. That, my bad.
Well, you know, as famously once said by Kevin Keegan, I know exactly what's around the corner. I just don't know when the corner is, and we should wait to see what's coming up next. Still, it's a game of 2 halves played between 11 players, and at the end of it, somebody might win or not. We have to wait and see. But it's looking like Manchester City are in control. There is Foden pressing and Alvarez, and Manchester City have not given up here, this sort of press, and they really have pushed Chelsea right back into the edge of their own area. But it was from a clearance that the Chelsea had the chances when Manchester City do push forwards. And there is that, and the Chelsea fans are still making their voices heard at the moment and enjoying their day out there in Eastlands, as the case may be. So, thank you very much for joining us here on the TC Hub, the Commentary Hub, your place for alternative commentary. This is a live and exclusive alternative commentary here of Manchester City versus Chelsea. FA Cup third round. We've got more action for you tomorrow. Join in as well, game between Oxford United and Arsenal. The commentary team, of course, will be Russ Vernon. Hosted again by our man Nicholas, who is definitely running the show. As our Des Lynham here, delighted to have him on the team. As for the team in contest, very much has been one shade of blue, been far dominant over the other. Has it been the manager? Has it been tactics? Or has it been injuries that's played a factor into this today, Chris?
A combination of all three. Can I be that safe in the answer? It's just kind of the perfect storm for Manchester City to pounce on a very wounded Chelsea at the minute. It's arguably the selection wasn't great, but was Potter forced to make this selection based on his current injury crisis? It's not a great time for Chelsea at the moment. They've had an indifferent season, and this match came at basically the worst time. Facing Manchester City twice in a week when you're in the middle of an injury crisis really isn't what you need for boosting confidence, and it's showing, unfortunately, that this is a coddled together Chelsea team because there's just a lack of cutting edge in the side, and them having no goals to their name and not really having any major chances to trouble Manchester City's goalkeeper kind of shows it, really.
Well, in terms of the competition, 9 of this Manchester City side won the FA Cup in 2019. Just 2 of this Chelsea side won it in 2018, as pass from Omari Hutchinson is just cleared away by Kyle Walker. So Manchester City, Bruin winners. Lots of the players here have got 3, 4, 5 the Premier League championships to them. They've got 5 League Cups, some players. There's a really decorated side, but it'll be on Europe, really, that Pep Guardiola will feel. And after the last seconds knockouts to Real Madrid that took place in the semi-final, it was very much looking like we were going to get Manchester City-Liverpool final. I've just been informed by Nicholas that he sees himself more as a Jim Rosenthal than Des Lynam, which is good because only I could do Des in my mind, and that's in my mind. Anyway, here's Omari Hutchinson moving forward on the left foot, just cut away from João Cancelo at the moment. There is Fofana. Hutchinson again. Now it's a chance for the shot. The shot takes a wicked deflection. It will be a corner. I think it smacked the defender right in the head at the moment. Zakaria there. It looks like he's absolutely clouted Akajani. And Chelsea at least trying to get a whim of consolation from this contest before the full-time whistle goes in about 13 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's another opportunity for Chelsea here. Just resolute defending. I think that may have caught somebody in the nether. Let's have a look. Oof, yes, that's gonna sting for a little bit. But it's somebody taking a chance, somebody having a pot shot. If you don't shoot, you don't score. They've got a corner out of it. See if they can create something from the set piece. I mean, if they got a goal now, you never know. There's going to be about 5 minutes added time for this injury, because it's one of those which is going to be a long time to walk off, I think.
Yeah, bit of magic sponge required, I probably would have thought. Obviously, one you apply yourself. Let's go ahead and watch the corner here from Chelsea. See what takes place. Chelsea here throwing bodies forward. Conor Gallagher with the splits in the back of his calves from his socks. He does take the corner. He tries to float it into the far post. It's headed back across goal in the end, but it won't go anywhere at the moment for Chelsea. And that sort of finishes that afternoon. Trevor Chalobah's effort just flying over, but at least there is a chance in the game at the moment. Reminder, folks, if you are tuning in and you're listening wherever you are around the world, let us know where you are. Also, let us know who you think is the player of the match at the moment. There have been some fantastic performances. Chelsea at the moment starting to chant for their man, Gianluca Vialli, but still as well, that's a very disappointed set of fans that have made a long journey, some of them from West London all the way up here in the M6 to the Etihad at the moment. This is Koulibaly. Linked with Manchester United at one point, but it's only to sign for Chelsea. And shame that it all gone wrong for them as well. Now the ball over the top. Alvarez trying to get across that. Hasn't been taken at the moment. Hutchinson. Azpilicueta. Gallagher. Just a poor touch. Has just lost it. Mahrez. Manchester City's best chance of the second half has been taken by he. Here's Bernardo Silva. Now it's Mahrez. Palmer just looked to lay it off to Cancelo. Omari Hutchinson brings it away for Chelsea, but instantly comes across 3 sky blue shirts and has to go backwards in the game at the moment. Here's Arrizabalaga. There is Bashir Humphreys. Exchanging passes at the moment with Zakaria. Humphreys again to Koulibaly. Well, let's go over to Villa Park. Ruspin, there's been a chance for Aston Villa.
Yes, brilliant bit of play down the right-hand side for Aston Villa. Going inside the penalty area on the right-hand side, it was just, and the ball was covered looking for a substitute. Ollie Watkins, who couldn't get an end of it. Stevens went close in the second half as well through Roberts, who had a shot over and deflected over for a corner, which nothing came from. He remains Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0, 82 minutes gone here, Trevor.
82 minutes in that contest, and it's looking like Aston Villa may be in the hat for the 4th round. If Aston Villa are successful, they would have an away tie to Stoke City. So can they get it done on a wet, rainy January afternoon against Stoke? Well, while that's been going on, there has been a foul committed at the moment by the Chelsea club captain, Cesar Azpilicueta, joined after Chelsea's best ever season in many people's eyes when they finally won the European Cup in 2012, and he's gone on to lift the Europa League and the UEFA Champions League itself, and lifting the FA Cup and Premier League on 2 occasions. So what a player that he has turned out to be. Poznan taking place for Manchester City as the Chelsea fans look to leave the field and go ahead and beat the rush home early. And a lot has to be credited to the Chelsea fans at the moment for making the trip up here with these train strikes and just how difficult travelling is at the moment. It always can be underappreciated at the moment. Well, we've got 8 minutes to go in this contest that in truth has been all over. Many people have thought since the 38th minute, ever since Phil Foden go ahead and toe poke the ball home after a lovely pullback from Kyle Walker. Since then, Manchester City have been in control and have been running the show, it has to be said. And as much as we've talked about how brilliant Manchester City have played today, they have shown at the moment that there's a couple of faults or something within their Premier League form. Do you think, who would be your vote to take the Premier League title, City or Arsenal at the moment as it's looking like, Chris?
It's hard to say. I mean, everyone keeps expecting at some point Arsenal season will fall apart. That's the general consensus, it seems. But the way Arteta's got them drilled at the moment, they just don't like skipping a beat. Yes, they drew with Newcastle, but Newcastle are a very different beast at the moment. There might be a chance for City here if they want to take it. Bernardo Silva bringing it forward. Here's a chance. Oh, is that a pen?
Well,
yes, it is.
Yeah, referee Robert Jones didn't hesitate, pointed to the whistle and has blown for it straight away. And you can see there straight away, Zakaria is across, and I wonder who's going to take this at the moment for Manchester City. They've still got their original penalty take. Alvarez is on. Koulibaly just clouted Phil Foden, didn't he?
Yeah, he bundled him over in the box, didn't get any of the ball. Stonewall penalty. I don't really sure what people are arguing with the referee about because he didn't touch the ball, unfortunately. That's just how it is. It's not been Chelsea's night, and it's just going to be compounded here. Azpilicueta has come onto the pitch, and he just seems to be in a raging mood because when he gave that foul away a couple of minutes ago, he booted the ball into the advertisement boards, narrowly missing a steward who had his back turned to him, so it could have clouted him on the back of the head. So not really being the model captain at the moment, but looks like it's going to be Riyad Mahrez looking to get his second of the game from the spot.
Well, Riyad Mahrez will stand up for Manchester City. Shout out to Lindsay Brook Arts Club, listening all the way from a stormy California. Hope it's all going well and you're staying safe. So here is Riyad Mahrez from the spot from 12 yards to make it 4. And he has. And we are halfway in to the 4-4 mark. But before we go ahead and talk about the penalty, we're going to go over to Villa Park. There's been a red card for Aston Villa.
Yes, VAR are checking it, Trevor. It's gone to Dendoncker, who fouled his man inside. He pulled him on the edge of the penalty area, and the man is Campbell. He put on the edge of the penalty area, and then he continues inside the box, and he takes him out inside the box. The referee initially gave a free kick, and then he listened to a voice in his ear and gave a penalty, and sent Dendoncker off. They are now checking these, and I'm not sure if it's going to be a penalty and a red card or going to be a free kick for a foul just outside the area. And if it's a free kick outside, I think the red card will be rescinded. Well, at the moment, it's a penalty to Stevenage and a red card for Dendoncker. Come back to me in a moment, Trevor, when I find out a bit more.
Okay, thank you very much there. Well, it could be a way back in it for Stevenage and real drama at the end of that game. Chris, want to get your thoughts on Riyad Mahrez's penalty? Was there any doubt?
Not really. He dispatched it emphatically to the goalkeeper's left. There wasn't really any stopping it, but Mahrez seems to love playing Chelsea, and certainly this week, essentially, he's got a hat-trick over 2 games. But yeah, I'm sure Chelsea fans will be happy to see the back of him, much like the Manchester City fans showing their back to the pitch whilst they do the Poznan.
Well, certainly can be enjoyed and celebrated. We'll go back to Aston Villa. A penalty and a red card has been confirmed. Stevenage have a way back into the game, Russ.
Yes, and it was a definite penalty for Stevenage, Trevor. And I'm trying to work out which man it is who's going to take this, because normally it would be Luke Norris. Is the substitute number 19, Reed, who will now step up for Stevenage in the 88th minute after VAR checked the penalty decision. Reed off of the bench, and he scores for Stevenage. Sent also the wrong way, and Stevenage have gone way back into this cup tie. It's a fantastic penalty from Arthur Reed off of the bench, and Stevenage, who have played absolutely fantastic in this game, have found a way back into it. Mike Coleman will be somewhere inside that Stevenage crowd, going bananas right now. It's Arthur Reed off of the bench. It's level things at Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 1. 2 minutes to go, plus stoppage time. What a game this has been here at Villa Park.
Well, the goals have been at the Etihad, but the drama sounds like it's very much been at Villa Park this evening, as the FA Cup really does start to show us just what it's all about. A note to point out here from Manchester City today that Rico Lewis, the young 18-year-old, has made his debut for Manchester City, coming on for Bernardo Silva. His father owns a boxing gym, and he grew up inspired by Muhammad Ali. So, can he find a boxing blow? As for our great 4-4 prediction today that we had, well, Chelsea are the ones letting us down. Manchester City have done their part. Can they find a fifth? This is Julian Alvarez. There's options out wide, and there's lots of space out wide for Kyle Walker to move into. Now it's Phillips. Zakaria. Phillips again. With a pass for Walker. Phillips across to Laporte, sees the gap. 2 minutes from the end of the 90. Here is Cole Palmer. This is Rico Lewis. First early touches for the young man, Palmer. Lovely little flick over the top. Cancelo is able to go and beat Trevor Chalobah. Plays a long ball over the cross. It will lead Julian Alvarez to show his pace, but he shows it well here against Koulibaly. Alvarez's ball into the middle. Palmer trying to get to it. It's cleverly played away at the moment. Gallagher. And it's got to be won there in the end by Zakaria. It wasn't quite. It has been cleared away there.
It's the 88th minute. They're 4-0 up, and they are still pressing like their lives depend on it. It's just... Chelsea really didn't stand a chance here, the way that City have come out and applied themselves to this game, because it's just been relentless, I think is the best way to describe this performance from City. Doesn't matter what the score is, we're not giving you time.
No, and we're just watching the picture-in-picture version of the replay, which Stevenage have scored from. And, well, what a moment this has been. And look at that, Rosin's keeper completely the wrong way. 1-1 at the moment between these two players. Russ, great your views. What's it looking like towards the end of the game there?
Well, Trevor, just as you're coming to me, Stevenage, as we go into 6 minutes of stoppage time, have taken the lead at Villa Park. It's a corner from the right, from the left, from Stevenage's right-hand side. Reed takes it short to the substitute Campbell, who unmarked, run inside the penalty area and fired a shot past Olsen at his near post just as we go into 6 additional minutes. Mike Orneman has just seen 2 Stevenage goals in the 88th and the 90th minute at Villa Park. Villa down to 10 men, and they're now trailing by 2-1 to League 2 Stevenage. And what a game I have witnessed this afternoon. Stevenage were 1-0 down and out of it, it looked like. But they've fallen the way back and they've turned the game on its head, and they're now leading 2-1, and they've got a man advantage as well. 91.5 minutes gone here, Trevor. So another 5 and a bit minutes to go. 4 and a bit minutes to go, should I say. It's Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 2.
Well, just to let you know, that those listening, we are going to go to Villa Park for the final couple of minutes of it. In the meantime, we need to go ahead and decide the player of the match. And Chris, would like to get your votes. And who's your commentary hub player of the match for this evening? Well, if we could hear him, we definitely would accept his words.
I've got to get used to this new microphone that I've got. We're just sorry. I was a little bit stunned by seeing the Stevenage replay. They've smashed it in at the near post from that corner, as Russ described. Riyad Mahrez, to me, is hands down man of the match, just because, he's dominated this game. He has caused Chelsea problems no end this match. Every time he touches the ball, you just expect something to happen, as he just plays a lovely ball on the overlapping wing back. And look, there might be a chance here for City as well. Still going deep into stoppage time.
It's been wonderful work, Eric, from Manchester City. They have been the better side. They've been a class above Chelsea today, injuries or not. This is Rico Lewis just winning the ball back, and they're still continuing to race, and very much the game wasn't one off the bench. The front three were 4 goals today that have put Manchester City into the 4th round of the FA Cup. Who will they play? Well, you can find out tomorrow here on the Commentary Hub, live and exclusive commentary. We're going to bring you, hosted, of course, by Nicholas / in brackets Jim Rosenthal, and he'll be joined in commentary that day by Russ Vernon. We're nearly at the 2-minute mark. I suspect that Robert Jones isn't going to blow for too much longer, and indeed it does. That settles the contest. Manchester City are winners by 4-0, but there's been a chance at Aston Villa, so we're going to move over and finish the rest of this with the final few minutes of stoppage time over at Villa Park with Russ.
Thank you very much, Trevor. And this has been a good match that I have watched today. Aston Villa just went close a few moments ago with a shot from the right-hand side of the penalty area as they attack, and it just went wide. Stevenage have just won a flick on there with Reed all the way through, looking towards Reeves there, who glides into Olsen, who can't get the ball there, who collected the ball there brilliantly, should I say. Is now Aston Villa just knocking the ball around back at the back with Chambers, the former Arsenal man, coming up towards halfway. Over halfway now, and Aston Villa just keeping hold of the ball. As here's Douglas Luiz, who will look to keep the ball moving forward. Emi Buendia, the substitute for Aston Villa, just inside the Stevenage half, and he lays it across to Ashley Young, who was one of the substitutes that come on for Matty Cash in this second half. Villa with the ball into the penalty area, and he's gone all the way through. Come off the legs there of Smith at the back post, out for a throw to Aston Villa. And I must say, in this game, Aston Villa have been poor, but he's gone out. He came off Smith, but the referee, for some reason, has given a throw-in to Stevenage when he definitely came off number 14, Smith there. The referee's still playing time on. We've got about a minute left of added on time at the end of this game. As it's Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 2, that late goal for the 2 late goals in this game, which has seen a fantastic comeback for Stevenage. And Mike Orneman will be jumping up and down with that one, I can tell you, in the way as they're going through forward here again. He's Emil going inside the penalty. Emil shoots, takes the deflection into the arms of Olsen, who falls down under the challenge of Roberts, who gets an elbow into the back by Ramsey. The free kick being given to Aston Villa. Olsen takes it quickly as Aston Villa will try and get on with it about less than 30 seconds to go. Can Stevenage of League 2 hold on to cause one of the biggest shocks, as one with Wrexham in the FA Cup, as that ball's over the top to the far side, and Roberts, who's just offside, who's knocked the ball away, and Ashley Young has pushed him, but the referee's not giving a yellow card to Ashley Young or to the Stevenage player Roberts there. Been a fantastic game. We've played just the 6 minutes now as Olsen hits this ball forward. All eyes are now going to be on referee Graham Scott for the final whistle as Aston Villa try and come forward. He's cleared away up towards halfway, and now the full-time whistle has gone at Villa Park, and Aston Villa of the Premier League have been knocked out by League 2 Stevenage. 2 late goals for them has turned this game around. It was a opening goal for Morgan Sanson with his first goal of the season for Aston Villa on 33 minutes. But then on 88 minutes, there was a red card for Dendoncker and a penalty after Campbell was fouled inside the penalty area. Reed, the substitute, stepped up and took it and fired it into the back of the net, sent Olsen the wrong way, and then from a short corner, worked brilliantly to Campbell by Reeves, and Campbell, also a substitute, fired home. So the 2 substitutes off of the bench, Stevenage only had 5 subs on the bench. Used 4 of the 6 subs on the bench, should I say? Used 5 of them, and it was the 2 substitutes that turned the game on its head in favour of Steve Evans' League 2 Stevenage, who have knocked out Unai Emery's Aston Villa. At Villa Park has finished Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 2, and what a game I have just witnessed here this afternoon.
Thanks, Russ, for that last-minute spontaneous commentary. Oh boy, Stevenage knocking out Aston Villa to go through to the 4th round. We'll get onto that. We'll get onto that a bit later on. But for now, Manchester City predictably beating Chelsea by 4 goals to 0. I think I read somewhere that they could win them 2-0. But those two extra goals have got to be nice for them, I am sure. But as for Chelsea, things just could not get any worse for them. And from some of the rumours I've been hearing, Chris, do you really think it's a question of when, not if, Graham Potter should go?
Well, it's whether it's the right decision or not would be one of the main questions with it. Yes, it's tricky. The current situation, a change of manager, I don't think would solve their current problems. A new manager doesn't suddenly fix all the injuries that they've had. But I don't know how they would expect to employ somebody else's philosophy and ideas this late on into the season. I mean, they're out of the FA Cup. They're out of the Carabao Cup. They're kind of staring at maybe European opportunity, perhaps. But arguably, if they were that fussed about Europe, they would never have sacked Tuchel. So it's tricky. I wouldn't know what to think. We have to. The owners will have to say something, I think, after this match and basically go, we are backing Potter. You're just going to have to be patient this season. You might as well write it off, and we'll take what we can get. Or if they follow the fanfare of what the fans are saying and swing the axe, but then who do you bring in? Who would you replace Potter with who could pick up this aging, battered squad that haven't really got much to play for this season? It's as much as you could sack Potter, who would you get instead?
I personally have no idea. But Pep Guardiola, he just continues to weave his magic with Manchester City, and Riyad Mahrez getting in the goals that he did just goes to show that he is one of the right forward men for the job.
Well, I mean, it's difficult to say with this, because what do you do? What manager does something different? Like, I really don't know where you go with Chelsea from here, because, as I said, they're sitting 10th in the Premier League at the minute, which isn't great by their standards. Let's be honest, but you've got to look at the situation that they're in. As I said, injury crisis. The manager is still kind of betting in his philosophy, and obviously they've been knocked out by Manchester City, who aren't there's no shame in losing to Manchester City. They've been the best team in England probably for the best part of the decade now, which, you can't really argue with it. But their league form is a worry. They're not miles away. I mean, you could keep in mind they're only 3 points behind Liverpool, and not too many people are talking about Jurgen Klopp's job. But he's in a similar position. He's in a team which needs investment, is kind of aging a little bit. They've got new players that are bedding in, and so on and so forth. But he's not getting anywhere near as much flack as Potter. So, also, Chelsea, they have a game in hand as well. They can put a run of form together in the second half of the season, and they'll be knocking on the door of fifth and fourth place, because Newcastle are currently sat third. We don't know whether they're going to stay where they are. Manchester United also are very hot and cold. You got Tottenham sitting fifth. It's a very competitive league this year. So, and obviously, ironically, the groundwork that he left at Brighton has been a great platform for them to push on and be knocking on the door of the top 7. So it's, as I said earlier, it's kind of a perfect storm for Chelsea to be doing a bit naff. Is the best way to describe it, because they've got loads of injuries. They're in a transitional phase with new manager, and the Premier League arguably this year has been more competitive than it has been in recent. So I don't really know who would do any better for them. They had Tuchel, they got rid of him. They didn't think he was good enough, who arguably has more pedigree than someone like Potter. They've gone with Potter with the whole idea that it would be a long rebuild job. I would imagine that would be the reason that they hired him. But if they're going to sack him, 6-7 months into his contract, what was the point of hiring him in the first place, and what was the point of sacking Tuchel? Because it just leads to other questions as to what's going on in the boardroom. So, yeah, it's a weird time for Chelsea. We don't really know what we're going to get for the second half of the season. It's troubling, yes, but every big team will have this kind of downturn at some point, and it might just be Chelsea's turn.
Yes, it certainly might be. And another fact that I found before we went on air, when I was looking up Lewis Hall, I actually found out that he is the younger brother of Connor Hall, who plays for National League Northside Chorley. So there you go. You learn something new every day. As for Stevenage, with the amazing. With that amazing last minute commentary by Russ. Don't forget, Russ and I will be part of the team for tomorrow evening's coverage of Oxford City against Arsenal. We're hoping to Oxford United against Arsenal, I should say. I don't really see Oxford pulling off anything that Stevenage did against Arsenal, who are the Premier League leaders, no less. But stranger things have happened. But stranger things have happened in football. Although part of me is hoping that there could well be an upset. And we're just about out of time. So we'll see you tomorrow for Oxford against Arsenal. Good night.